Alright, here we are at day 2. Got up, it was raining, so we decided to hang around. We had a half day's worth of stuff planned for today, so that was no big deal. But I got up, we had breakfast. The hotel room is small, dude. I'll show you around. It's a wreck, but the reason it's a wreck is because it's fucking small. So look, there's the door. Got a double bed, barely any room to walk, a little nightstand, a little table, which I've got my laptop, my CPAP, a coffee mess, which takes up half of it, and then we've got a little tiny wardrobe in a bathroom that's so small that the toilet is halfway jammed up under the sink, so it's like sitting is like impossible, almost draped over the sink. The shower, it's like 2 by 2, and the door is fixed so it won't open all the way, so you gotta squeeze in, and then you can get in and turn it on. The water's okay, the heat's fine, but you know, I was in there last night and I dropped the soap. Go ahead and make all your jokes, but I couldn't pick it up because I couldn't bend over to get it. So I mean, you're vertical in there. There's no whatever. So that's small. And we had breakfast this morning. We have a free breakfast, but you know, it's designed to provide as least amount as possible. They want you know, small bowls, teeny tiny cups of things, because they want you to drink very little of their milk or tea or whatever. And then just some bread and some cheese. I mean, it was food. It was free. Fine. Whatever. So yesterday was, tough. After the flight, nobody slept on the flight. I had 3 ladies behind me who alternated going to the bathroom, and as they got up, they grabbed the back of my chair for leverage to stand up. So every time I would fall asleep, my chair would get jerked, and I would wake up. So no sleep on the plane. And then yesterday was cold. It wasn't supposed to be cold. It was freezing, and so we did most of what we wanted to do yesterday. We went on the Eye. I'll post a video. Had a nice experience there, but the Eye, man, just getting on it is a fucking nightmare. It was like an hour-and-a-half line to buy the ticket for whatever time you want to get on. And then you have to get in line like an hour before your time to get on the tube to get for the boarding line. And that was outside and it was cold. So it was literally 2.5 hours of waiting in various lines just to get on it. It was nice and neat and cool, but it was not worth that level of effort. So today we got up and it was raining. It wasn't supposed to rain. Whatever. And it's a little chilly, but we decided, so today was a half day's worth of exercise, and then with the afternoon off, we took our morning off instead while the rain finished, and now we're going to go do some things. We're going to go get on the tube to Baker Street. We're going to go to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, Madame Tussauds if the line isn't too long. Now, what we're seeing is a lot of the lines are long with people who are coming to the football game that's playing today. So hopefully they'll all be at the games and we can avoid, you know, dealing with them. But so Madame Tussauds, which usually has a long line, I'm not feeling the waiting in line thing today. So if there's a line at Madame T's, we'll probably pass. Then the goal is to walk through Mayfair. I prefer Marylebone High Street. So we're going to walk down that, and there's a bookstore that we want to go to, Daunt's bookstore, and then walk down to Selfridges, and then to where I used to work down on Audley Street, Grosvenor Square, and then on down just, you know, to the Hard Rock Cafe. So just a walk today, and then we'll be done for the day. So that's our goals. Let's see how much of it we get done. So we left for the day pretty early. This is the front of our hotel. We went out, and it's really kind of a nice, quiet neighborhood. It's all around Norfolk Square here in the Paddington area. The outside looks amazing. Belies the smallness of the inside, but it's been okay. Not great. It's been okay. And a little view of looking up at the trees. I'll post a little video of the square, but you know, this is just how nice and green it is. Nice big old trees here. So our goal today, we were gonna get on the tube at Paddington, come down to Baker Street, get off at Baker Street, and today's agenda was to be what I was terming the long walk. And that is going to be basically a north to south walk from Baker Street down to the Bond Street area and Oxford Street and all that. So this was going to be our most strenuous day, and it absolutely proved to be so. So we took the tube to Baker Street, as I mentioned, and then we got off the tube and went up to the street level and was walking up to the Sherlock Holmes Museum was our first stop, and that's just a little bit north towards Regent's Park. And so as we were walking, this building caught my eye. It's kind of cool looking. It's got a cool facade. A lot of buildings in London have these just amazing facades. But this one was cool. It had this big old lighthouse above the door and everything. I thought it was neat. So this is where we were headed. We were headed up to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, as I mentioned. And on our way, we passed the London Beatles store. Now, it looks cool, and it's got all kind of cool Beatles stuff in the window. But you go in, and it's really just a Beatles paraphernalia store. Nothing in there directly related to the Beatles, other than, I mean, just stuff. Really, they're playing off of the name. I wonder how they were able to contract that. I wonder if it's the estates that run this for the people or what. But you know, you go in and it's like $40 to $50 for a T-shirt and things like that. And I'm sorry, but I'm not that big a fan. My cousin might be, but I certainly would not pay that kind of money. Now, if you were to go someplace where they, you know, Abbey Roads or someplace where there was some connection to them, it might be interesting, but this was not the place. However, what did catch my eye in the front window was this cool little display here. It's actually rotating, freestanding and rotating segments. I thought it was cool. Here's a little video of what that looked like. So as we continued to walk on, I was just admiring the buildings, as I always do here in London. It's just so pretty. This fire escape caught my eye. I thought it was kind of neat looking. And of course the double-decker bus is running up and down Baker Street. This one had Victoria's name on it, so I had to take a picture of that, of course. And this is, as we were standing in line, yes, there was another line to get in. And so we stood in line for probably an hour. And but at least there was the windows to look in. So this was the first window, and this was the second window. Finally, we made it up to the door. It was a pretty long wait. I'm sure they have fire codes and things like that they have to be concerned about. But I just I don't know, man. I just think it's, for the value of some of the stuff that you see, the wait times are a little extreme. Let's just put it that way. But we finally made it inside, and it was pretty nice, interesting with all the real Victorian artifacts they have in there. It's very cluttered, full of things of interest, full of things trying to display a busy lifestyle, the lifestyle of experimentation and curiosity and all that. And so you can see all of the electric lights that were in there, and the various hodgepodge of things. Now this is the living room with the two big windows overlooking Baker Street, and you can see his violin was right down there. This is his desk with all his experimentation items on there. And then we move into the next room, and it's got portraits on the walls of his major enemies. And this is kind of a cool thing. It looks like it's a clothes hanger that hangs over the fireplace for drying clothes. A small bed. The whole place was very small and very claustrophobic with all the people in there and all the just tchotchkes everywhere. This is some weird voodoo doll kind of thing I was creeped out by. And again, very small rooms,
Now in the stories, I was under the impression that he did not rent the whole building; that he just had one floor or apartment on there. So, but this segment's blurry. Sorry about that. But this is Dr. Watson's area with his desk, and that was supposedly him writing the stories, which is what he did.
And then I've got just a slideshow of still stuff. Here's Victoria reading some stuff on the walls. And this was a bust of Sherlock Holmes. And, you know, just some snapshots of the rooms. They were actually, you know, really ornate and really had some cool things. They had a few shadow cases where they had things that are purported to be from his cases, like this is a book with a gun embedded in it. A mask and a pair of gloves. That's from a certain story. I don't know which story it was from, but it's supposed to be a mask and gloves from a certain murder. Oh, here's the privy. So that's a pot. I guess, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And then they started having these like mannequin figurines, and they were purported to be from various of his stories. I don't know what this one was. They had the whole story sections written down on the wall behind him, so I took some pictures of them, but I'm not going to relate them to you. I think they're cool looking. Some of them are creepy as hell. Look at this woman in a casket here, and that's Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes. The head of the Hound of Baskervilles, supposedly. An arm hanging out of the ceiling. Yeah. And then this person underneath, apparently dead of some kind of, probably a broken neck or something, I don't know. And then this weird looking dude, clearly begging for money. I don't know what his role was, but, you know, he's got a fucked up looking face. Oh, excuse my French. And then this dude in the cage. And so this one was from The Adventure of the Speckled Band. And apparently Sherlock helps a governess investigate noises in the night. Dr. Grimsby Roylott was clad in a long gray dressing gown, his bare feet, ankles protruding beneath, and his feet thrust into red, heelless Turkish slippers. His chin was cocked upwards, and his eyes were fixed in a dreadful, rigid stare at the corner of the ceiling. Round his brow he had a peculiar yellow band with brownish speckles, which seemed to be tightly bound around his head. So, you see, it's just characters from the stories, but creepy nonetheless. Alright, so after that, we wanted to go ahead and take a look at Madame Tussauds to see whether or not we wanted to go in there or not. And unfortunately, when we got there was a huge line. I'd already had enough of lines for the day at that point, and I was pretty sure, based on the fact we had a long way to walk, I did not want to stand in a line again. And it was getting towards lunchtime, so we decided we were going to go ahead on, and we forewent Madame Tussauds. So, skipping that, we'll do it another day. And we started walking towards the Marylebone High Street. And as we passed by, we ran into the Royal Academy of Music, which I took a couple of pictures of here, as you see. And it was, you know, kind of neat, the idea of some of the people who may have passed through there. So anyway, passed by that. And then we proceeded south on Marylebone High Street. And it was, as I said, getting on towards lunch. We were hungry. So we decided to stop in a pub I used to go to often on my way home from work, and that would be the Prince Regent. And little shot from the outside, and the inside, it's a really nice pub. We had pretty good food. Victoria had the fish and chips with mushy peas, and this is her reaction to the mushy peas. And I had the roast with roast vegetables and Yorkshire pudding, and it was quite delicious. We had some really good dessert too. There was like a caramel pudding,
and I had a chocolate brownie with hazelnut ice cream. It was quite tasty. So then we got done eating, we decided to start walking again, so we jumped up back on the high street and kept heading south until we got to Daunt bookstore. Now, the Daunt bookstore is fairly famous, but it's quite beautiful, and they've got a whole section in the back that is nothing but travel books. So if you look at this picture right here, upstairs and downstairs, also up on the balcony, nothing but books about other countries and about travel and things like that. Maps like crazy. I would lose my mind in there with the maps. But it was quite beautiful and, you know, very busy. So Amazon is definitely not putting them out of business. But it was cool. After that, we continued walking on down the high street. One of the things I wanted to point out. So I was specifically looking for the house I had stayed in as an apartment when I first moved there many years ago, and it was gone. So that apartment was no longer there. So that property had changed hands and had been reconfigured for something else. So that was disappointing, but it was the way of the world. So we continued on south and ran across Christmas decorations in October. So apparently they have so many decorations they have to put up that they have to start really early. They weren't lit up, they weren't anything like that, but I will mention something more about Christmas here in a minute. So we turn right on Oxford Street, and that is the Rodeo Drive of London. This is the shopping district, and the jewel in the crown of the shopping district is Selfridges department store, which we went in, and it was kind of cool because we had been watching the Selfridges series on Hulu for some time, and it was cool to finally go in there again for me, but first time for Victoria, and just check it out. And it's really a grand store. I mean, many restaurants, and oh, by the way, you can spend a lot of money on very little in there. I think I saw an interview with a lady on the news. Somebody was interviewing her on what she had purchased from Selfridges, and it was a purse, and it was a 5,000 pound purse, and I don't know who's got that kind of money, but obviously she did. So, but we went and looked around, and one of the things we really wanted to check out was the fourth floor, which is now dubbed Selfridges for Christmas. And there was all kind of toys and presents, and there were boxes of crackers, and they were custom crackers made specifically for Selfridges, and they were like 60 pounds for a box of 6. So I don't know what kind of toys are in them, but it better be something damn good. In case you don't know what crackers are, they're Christmas things you open up that pop, and there's toys in it and a paper crown, whatever. It's crackers. Look it up. You got fingers. But as we were walking around, it was cool. So here was a letter box, a post box, for the kids to drop their letters off for Santa Claus, and as you approached it, it would talk to you, which was kind of scary. And then over in the toy section, we ran into this little thing, which was super cool, and I'm going to let you check it out now, and then I'll talk about it when it's done.
And since we have no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. No kinds of stopping, and I brought some gold for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
All right. Before we move on too far from that, let's discuss. So, that thing could play all kinds of music. It played like 3 songs while we were there, different ones, and it was pretty amazing. And it can be yours for the princely sum of 28,000 pounds, which in US dollars is about $35,000. So if you have $35,000 you want to blow, this Penguin Trio has got your name on it, I think. Alright, so quickly I snapped a picture out of one of the windows at the corner of Selfridges looking out over North Audley. This is the street I would walk down to go to work when I lived here. So basically south from Selfridges a block or 2, and you would come to this building right here. And this was actually the Navy headquarters for Europe at that time. That has since moved. This building has been repurposed and looks nothing like the way, or a little bit like the way it used to. I mean, you know, the bricks and the cornices and all that's all the same, but there's a lot that's been changed on it. So, you know, I mean, 15 years, things are going to change, right? But that's where I used to work, right by the U.S. Embassy there in Grosvenor Square. So then we went on to Bond Street. We were extremely tired and footsore by then, and ready to end our day, really. And went down into the Bond Street station, and then got on the tube and came on home to end our day after the long walk. For those of you who are Stephen King fans and have read The Long Walk, you will know what I'm referencing, and let me tell you, it felt every bit as tough as that, being as old as I am and not used to those kind of treks. But it was good. The sights were good. It was really getting down into the neighborhood of ritzy London anyway, and taking a look around, and it was nice. It was nice to see. So after that, we came back to the hotel and crashed again, super footsore and grateful to have this nice bed that's in our room. So that's it for day 2. Tomorrow, the next day, at day 3, we had a full day as well, and I'll be posting that video for you tomorrow. All right, thanks for coming by.